Okay. Thank you very much. I'd like to call us to order and welcome all those in attendance as well as those live streaming. We have everyone from council here today except Mark, and I believe he's got a personal issue as the way. So we also have our town manager, Cliff Gravier, here, our assistant town manager, Terry Tiemann, Raylene Menominee, our town clerk, and of course, Will Wharton, IT, directing things. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes from a regular meeting held March the 20th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Or do you have a comment?
We just have the one comment I shared about the page 8. Is that, do we need to cover that here?
We've already talked to Eileen about it, so I think we're.
It's all done? Okay, good. Thanks, Raylene.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval of the financial report.
Thank you, Mayor. This report covers the budget through March 31st, 2026. That completes fiscal year 2026. We've collected 103.8% of our revenue for the year compared to 104.6% last year. We expended 93.7% of the budget for the year compared to 97.6% last year. Recognizing that this report is subject to audit, I move that the council approve this unaudited report.
Okay, second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Announcements. I have a few things I'd like to just say here. I want to thank Public Works Department and their horticultural group for the spectacular tulips and flower displays around town, but especially here in the Garfield median. I cannot count the number of visitors and residents who've been out there snapping pictures. I think that's incredible. It's quite a real crowd pleaser. You've probably noticed numerous projects going on around town. The Beach Boardwalk ramps being replaced down on 1st and 2nd Street. A new crossover here on the north side of Route 1 in Garfield is under construction now, as well as the sidewalks over on Kent and Garfield. And then we have new safety islands starting soon out by the diner and Wawa. But I'd also like to point out that Public Works crews have been busy around town doing many things, including power washing at the bandstand, painting and repairing all the boardwalk benches, refurbishing our boardwalk, all so that we're ready for the summer coming up. So I want to thank Public Works for all their efforts. And I'd also like to just say, Denrec will also be assisting them with the maintenance of our dune crossovers, which will include crossover rope railings at all the crossovers, because they're not at all the crossovers. You see them down at Garfield, but not many of the other ones. And they'll also be rebuilding the Wellington crossover, but not as a handicapped one quite yet. I thought they'd be here by now, but Denrec tells me as of an hour ago that they'll be here mid to end of next week. So the town is staffing up for the summer with most positions filled. We have in the area 75 lifeguards. We have 18 parking enforcement. We have 12 beach ambassadors. We have 9 trolley drivers. Approximately 12 are being added to Public Works, and 16 seasonal police will be starting their 5 weeks of training in early May. 2 weeks online, 2 weeks at an academy out at Camp Barnes, and a week of bicycle training, as well as another week riding with a regular officer. So if you add up all those positions, that's close to 150 people added for the summer. That's like 4 to 5 times what we have normally, so year-round. I think that's, I think we should thank management, town management, for all the incredible job they've done putting this together. How many towns in the state of Delaware have to deal with this kind of a transition? But our town management does it every year seamlessly. I don't know how they do it, but thank you. Rich, I'm going to turn it over to you for the legislative report.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple things, nothing about aliens or anything like that. These are all reports or follow-ups on things we talked about before, first of which is the prospects for the medical school in Delaware. You've all heard that there's there's no medical school in Delaware now, but there's a possibility that there will be one. The state has been given about $160 million at first from the federal government to start this thing. They put out bids for anyone who's willing to manage this hospital, and just about a week ago, they got 4 bids to start this process. 2 of the bids were from large Philadelphia institutions. One's Thomas Jefferson, and the other is the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. The third, which is sort of an outlier, was a medical school in Puerto Rico. I'm not sure anyone is taking that one that seriously. And the fourth was from PricewaterhouseCoopers, which kind of threw a curveball to everybody, but I think they're just there to become the liaison, if you will, between whoever runs the school and the federal government in terms of reporting. So I don't think they're really a potential for the medical school itself. Still no word on where it's going to be, but you hear the articles anyway, there's a significant push to have it either be in Kent or Sussex County. And the theory of this is if you train doctors here, some at least with those doctors will stay here. So I think it's a big deal, and it's something to keep our eye on, because medical school and healthcare down here is a huge issue. The second bill is another second thing I want to talk about is another thing I did talk about, I think, last month. And that's this bill that they're considering in the House, in the legislature now, to increase fees. This would be fees. Delaware is a corporate state, but a lot of the corporations that are here are not technically corporations. They're limited liability companies and other kinds of entities, partnerships and so forth, which have to pay fees. The state is considering increasing the fees that all these entities are charged, except actual corporations. And if this is passed, it will raise approximately $150 million a year for other purposes of the state. That bill made it through 2 committees in the House this week and is going to the Senate next week. If it passes, and it looks like it will, it's going to be effective. These new fees are going to be effective August 1 of this year. So that's a pretty good chunk of change. So it's worth keeping an eye on to see if that happens. And then the third thing is just another chapter in the wind farm drama. As you may have seen, a court recently decided that the efforts by the Sussex County Council to prohibit a permit to be granted for the U.S. wind operations to move in and put their power lines into a substation in Dagsboro, the county ruled that that could not happen. The state then moved to pass legislation to say, you can't say that, Mr. County. And then it went to court, and the court decided that the state was right, that they overruled what the county did. Just this week, I think it was Monday, actually. And I think a pretty surprising move, especially considering the fact that the Trump administration is slowing all this down anyway. But Sussex County, by a vote of 4-1 in their council, voted to appeal this. So they're going back to court again. So it's spending a lot of money, I guess, in going back to court again. So this drama is continuing, so all we can say is, stay tuned. It's still going on. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Is there anyone here who'd like to make a public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on into reports. First one is planning and zoning. Mr. Rush.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, Planning and Zoning met Saturday, March 21st. All members were present. The meeting was very much a working session. There was an introduction and discussion of a lot of topics. I'll take you through those now. First was an introduction of initial research for the longstanding topic of tree preservation. Diane Fogash and Kathy Shorter shared initial research with respect to the tree preservation with a focus on its benefits as well as its importance it could potentially play with respect to the town's sustainability goals and the efforts outlined in the 2023 comprehensive plan. In addition, there was some initial thinking shared and discussed with respect to potential additions to Chapter 507 of the Code for trees. And frankly, great discussion. More work is sitting with the commission to finalize a white paper that at some point will be coming to the council. Obviously, Susan Frederick's part of the team, the commission. She brought to the meeting 5 topics. The first I'll share with you was the review of Chapter 395, Building Construction, and Chapter 475, Property Maintenance related to stormwater runoff. The primary point of focus of the discussion was basically we need to better align across the 2 chapters how they relate to stormwater runoff and the need to be a bit more reflective of current building practices and what's in the code around things like uses of French drains, those type of things. Again, same point, more work to be done here. White paper has been commissioned within the Planning and Zoning Commission. Next topic was about the review of Chapter 425 zoning, specifically Attachment 5, the trade-off chart with respect to R1 and R1B districts. This is the trade-off chart that travels with the language around the maximum lot coverage and density requirements, and it provides really the benefits associated with each. And Susan was pointing out within that chart, there were certain pieces where she felt we should revisit. One had to do with the rear yard encroachment, her point being the relevance and the need going forward based on historical trends of planning submissions made, the relevance of it, and then discussion around the front and sidewall planes that were put in place to eliminate the box effect. There's some language that she wants to clarify and potentially sharpen up. Again, more work there. It's back with the team to pull together final recommendations there. Next up was another 425 zoning, this one related to 425-87A1, A through E, which is about providing clarifications and or corrections to residential off-street parking, right? The purpose of this section is to ensure homes that are built have adequate off-street parking. Primary point here from Susan was the need to correct or clarify some ambiguity, what was part of A to E. She proposed language, which the commission approved, which effectively means at one point when we get to a public forum, it'll be part of what we'll address. The next one we talked about was Chapter 530 signs, to review permitted signs in C1 and C2 zoning districts and to consider things like electric signs and things of those nature. Bottom line, the headline from Susan on this one was really about there's all kinds of new signage out there. We really need to bring the whole chapter up to date, reflective of business needs, while at the same time ensuring we're protecting the character and aesthetics of the town, right? Again, back with the commission to work through that. The last one is actually part of new business, so I'll hold off until then. It's relative to the dewatering for pool installations. But that's my report. I don't know if there's any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Bob. Police Accountability Committee, Mrs. Hardiman.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, Council, Mr. Gravier. PAC held its first quarterly meeting this year on March 24th, and Chief Foley reported on all of the work that our PD does assisting other agencies in Sussex County and in the state, including participating in an internal affairs hearing board in Georgetown, assisting Milton PD with traffic control and security at the heavily attended St. Patrick's Day Parade, attending the funeral of a fallen state trooper, Corporal Matthew Snook, traffic control in Ocean View for the funeral of Senator Bunting, and assisting as judges and role players at Sussex Tech High School Skills USA. And that's a competition. Sussex Tech has a criminal justice component, and this was a competition among the students there to see who would be the one that would go on to the finals, which are going to be held in June in Atlanta. And coincidentally, they also give us their students do internships here in our, with our PD, and the student who came out first place, Floyd Moore, happened to be the intern we had this year. The chief reported that the PD is slotted to have 15 seasonal officers, and to date we have 21 who have passed the screening process, including 4 who are returning. He explained that the seasonals go through the same hiring process as Delaware State Police troopers do. And since 12 of the 13 Bethany Beach PD officers are seasonals, and 8 of them were not from Bethany Beach, our officers recruit heavily from their own alma maters. The minimum standard for training of seasonal officers in Delaware is 94 hours. However, because we are approved by CALEA, we are required to have 206 hours of training. And even before they arrive, they're provided with online modules and books that they are required to read. And I think the mayor went through some of the other things, so I won't repeat them here. The chief reviewed the agency's report to CALEA for 2023, 2024, and 2025 relating to internal affairs, discipline, use of force, and pursuits, and explained what happened in each of those cases, and we were able to ask them questions. CALEA uses these reports to detect any patterns. The chief also talked about guidance issued by the Delaware Association of Chiefs of Police regarding the relationship between ICE and Delaware law enforcement. And the advice that he read was as follows, the points. Delaware law enforcement is here to help. Delaware law enforcement consists of local, county, state police agencies. We focus on public safety, not immigration. That is a federal offense. We have nothing to do with it. If a person is involved in a traffic stop and has ICE warrants against them, that's not something Delaware law enforcement gets involved in. It's a federal crime. And immigration status is not a factor when providing assistance. If the transaction required, it will be provided. And he reemphasized that Delaware law enforcement is here to help with the matters it does. It's not here to help with immigration. The D.C. Norman explained that there are 2 instances in which the police department would be involved with ICE. If they have a hard criminal warrant that they can see and verify, and not an administrative warrant, they would cooperate, or if an ICE officer is in danger and needs help. Pastor Rich Plosinski, who is the pastor of the Christian church across the street and also a member of PAC, talked about the men's shelter that they held at the Christian church this past winter. It's a program, it's a hybrid program. It requires them to, during the course of their stay, to seek employment and also a place to live. And 5 of the 7 who participated have jobs and housing. 2 were asked to leave because they were not looking for work. He said that he feels the program was successful and they plan to do it again next winter. He also said that this is the 125th year of the ministry of the Christian church to Bethany Beach, and they would be planning events in June and July, so stay tuned. We also reviewed the bylaws, which had been in effect for a year, to see if how they were working, and we decided there was no need to amend them. And our next meeting is Tuesday, June 2nd at 10 a.m. And that's my report. And
Thank you. The next report, Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Committee. Mickey, Teresa?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to give you an update. We didn't have a formal meeting last month, but we did have our learning sharing workshop that we hosted. So we wanted to give you a little bit of the feedback from that. This is just the brochure we put together in advance. I always want to highlight the members of our team because we really have a group of people that spend a lot of time and energy on this topic, really focused on the benefit of preventing hurt, pain, and suffering to our community, whether they're residents, whether they're guests. And it's really one that Teresa and I are very proud to be partners with. And I never get tired of saying that because it's a great group. The goal of the event was really just to create a collaborative sharing event. It wasn't to judge, it wasn't to criticize, it was just to bring our community together to talk about, the larger coastal communities, to talk about initiatives that are in place for the upcoming season, what we can do to learn from each other, what we can do to share with each other, and that was really the intent. We brought in a couple folks from the government leadership team, both from the governor's office and the lieutenant governor's office. To augment that, we had DelDOT here, as well as the communities. You can see here the agenda that we followed, and more importantly, you can see in the middle the communities that attended, which was really excellent. There was only one that couldn't, and it was really just because of a scheduling conflict. They couldn't get around, Henlopen Acres. The others, well, with the exception of one other, were all here and fully engaged and participated. So just want to share a couple key learnings. Let me turn it over to Teresa. We're actually going to do this formally next week in our meeting as a team, but since Teresa and I were there, we wanted to share our thoughts.
So I think the most important thing is that this is not a Bethany Beach issue. It's a regional issue. People come to this part of Delaware for healthier lifestyles, to be outside and to bike and walk, and all the communities in this area are working to keep people safe. And to be able to speak to everybody and learn what they're doing and what has worked for them and what hasn't worked for them, it is really helpful. Because what we found, now that it's our third year, is that people reported on things they tried in the past and they were really excited about. And they came back this year and said, you know what, that didn't work. It didn't work the way we thought. So now we have to come up with a new plan. And that's helpful for the rest of us so that we're not spinning our wheels. So it's really positive and engaging, and it was a great event. You should all come next year.
Just to be added to Teresa's comments, it really was that kind of collaborative event. You know, one of the things, I guess the key takeaways I got from it was there's a lot of focus on the structural activities, the bricks and mortar kinds of engagements that people are doing. Crosswalks, sidewalks, other things. And that's what a lot of the focus were from the various presentations. What differentiated us a little bit, we have those too, as you can see out front here, right? Yeah. Literally as we speak. So we have a number of larger projects going on, but we also talked about the things we do to engage with the community, the behavioral pieces, which really we didn't really see as much of from the other communities, right. But folks were very interested in what we're doing. For example, with our WAVE initiative, which is all about people engagement, riding the trolleys, talking to people. So that was a really a nice takeaway, and people responded to that, and it's really what our focus is going to be for the next 3 months or so. The other thing that we learned was that, and people were sort of surprised a little bit, but I think it's worth sharing because I'm very proud of it, is that a lot of the construction projects we have right now, our infrastructure projects, we're actually funding, right? We're working in partnership with DelDOT, obviously, so that using their expertise, where to place things, how to do it, using their contractors. But if we waited for DelDOT, and they're very supportive, I mean, they're truly a partner of this, but if we waited for them and their funding priorities and everything else to hit, we might be 10, 15 years out. So it's just I just wanted to thank really all the council and the community for supporting these initiatives. And other communities really were a little surprised by that, but I think it also triggered some thoughts about if it's important enough in your community, maybe you need to take the initiative and run with it a little bit. So,
I just want to also thank the town leadership and the finance department because they've put us in a position where we can fund these projects.
Right.
By starting reserves decades ago. So that's really what allows us to pay for some of these.
right. And the other thing that...
Oh, and our grant guru, Terry Tiemann, has also helped us.
Yeah. Terry's name came up a couple times during actually the session, and she had quite a crowd around her for part of it. So the other thing we did is we actually hosted it at the hotel this year. We were thinking we would have the governor here But he had to make a last-minute schedule adjustment, but it actually worked out great. It was a really nice facility for that and promoted a lot of sharing. I just want to give you a little bit of feedback, too. Everybody that was there was very, very positive. I mean, Teresa and I and other council members that were there, I think, received a lot of great feedback, the thanks for bringing us together and the like. But I just wanted to highlight a couple, and I don't expect you to read any of this or all of it, but this was actually a note that Jonah sent our team. Jonah Anderson, he's the deputy director for the Governor Meyer. I just want to highlight a couple things in red. Collaboration that's happening around all levels of government. He literally thinks about the government being somewhat siloed. I mean, this is a guy that's one of the leaders in the government, right? But he was very impressed with how we really coordinate and turn these things into really actionable items. Incredible efforts underway at local, state, and community levels. We had a presentation by the ABC group, Bethel. Again, very impactful, and I love the testimony, what it meant to him, literally being able to ride, the independence it gave him as a kid and his sister. But really, the important part is toward the end is that we sometimes think of biking as like a fun kind of thing, but the independence and it gives him as a tool, and thinking about it in a broader way about promoting individual activity and powerful tool for community development and quality of life. So that was a really nice testament from Jonah after the fact. And we got one other one too from, you might have seen this. This was actually an editorial that appeared in the Coastal Point, I guess last week, right. And
2 weeks maybe.
yeah, Rosemary, thank you for highlighting it because we were out of town and I wasn't paying attention to it. But this was really from in the editorial, and it really speaks to, I love the beginning because it talks about, we're in a time right now where it's hard to, we can't even talk to each other about things, right? I mean, politically but here's an effort of a community that's coming together to work collaboratively, to work together to solve issues, and they were very impressed by that, and you sort of get to the collaboration, sharing is vital importance, and this is a great step in regard to one critical issue. The one we would love to see repeated for other issues. So it was really the perspective that others had of Bethany and Bethany Beach and the team was really positive as a result of this. So as Teresa said, I want to thank all of the council members that supported this, the town staff, but I think something we can all be very proud of, whether you participated in it or not. I think we're really sort of sending a signal that we want to be leaders here. So thank you.
Yeah, Mickey, Teresa, I think you should be proud of what you put together. Your team is incredible. I wasn't surprised, but I thought it was great that everybody on your team had a part in that presentation and got up and they were really into it.
Yeah.
They were really into it. So, but then just being able to bring all these other communities together and it's the energy in it. It's the energy. They were all excited.
Yeah.
So thank you for all your efforts, and you do have a lot to be proud of.
Thank you.
You know, adding to that, what the mayor said is, as a participant, just as a participant watching all the different communities talk, if you see what's happening along Route 1, all the extra crossovers that are happening, they're much more substantial than what we have in our community. However, they've been trying to get that done for years.
Yeah.
And this effort by this team in Bethany, and you guys leading it, actually made that come to fruition. And you're going to see more of that, which I think you should be really proud of. And it's a great thing that you guys have accomplished.
Thank you.
Well done.
Fantastic. Thank you. The next report is Seaside Craft Show. Mrs. Holloway.
The Seaside Craft Show Committee met on Thursday, April 9th. The committee assembled the acceptance packets for the 117 craft show participants, which included, the packets included their booth assignments and unloading instructions. We also reviewed the craft show vendor survey, which is included in the welcome packet given to the artisans the day of the show. The artisans complete it and return it at the end of the show. It's designed to gather valuable insights and enhance the overall experience of the craft fair every year. The committee also discussed volunteer positions needed for the show. And in addition, committee members signed up for duties needed before and during the show. If anyone is interested in volunteering the day of the show, which is Saturday, June 6th, that should be on everybody's calendar, please see myself or Carol Califf after the meeting. If you know of any friends who want to volunteer, see me or Carol Califf after the meeting. The next meeting of the Seaside Craft Show Committee is scheduled for Thursday, May 28th at 10 a.m. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Sounds like we got a great event coming up. Stormwater and Flood Committee, Bruce Fry. Hello.
Got to keep up with Mickey, you know. Oh, no, it's only one. So you're not distracted by the lovely waves out there. The meeting of the Stormwater and Flooding Committee was called to order at 2 o'clock on Friday, April 10th, 2026, with all committee members present except Matt Kirks and Bob Collins, who had personal obligations. Danielle Swallow, a coastal hazard specialist with the University of Delaware Sea Grant Program at their Lewis campus, was our speaker. She spoke on the projected coastal climate change and rising sea level, and on the resilience efforts that communities and residents can and should employ to prepare for the future. Great presentation, and if you would like a copy, leave your email with Raylene. We reported the winter's interactions with our federal legislators relative to resilience and beach replenishment. That is the committee, we also updated on DENREC's spring cooperation in maintaining our dunes, beach and dune crossovers, and we discussed the new DENREC Coastal and Bay Communities Required Shoreline Public Access Plan. We noted Bethany's positive position in meeting the plan requirements and the benefits this would provide to the town. Our manager, Cliff Gravier, discussed the status of continuing regular meetings with DENREC on the town's proposed mechanical dam project, including the very positive step of the Army Corps of Engineers, confirming that we have no deed restriction issues. DENREC's portage issue is also being positively addressed by our engineers. The winter's Loop Canal erosion control bulkheads in the Lake Bethany community are now complete, and the drainage study in Bethany West has produced preliminary recommendations. The ongoing A-frame pamphlet effort to inform town residents on what they can do to help the town fight flooding has continued this winter and spring, where pamphlets have been prominently available on the boardwalk and at the bandstand. The meeting adjourned after public discussion at 3:30. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Cultural and Historical Affairs Committee, Mrs. Califf.
I'd just like to say, I think I have already spoken to almost everybody here trying to recruit you for the Seaside Craft Fair. But if there's anybody I haven't gotten yet, Janie, I don't think I talked to you yet. I'd be happy to speak to you. Cultural and Historical Affairs Committee held a meeting on Tuesday, April 14th. The police anniversary exhibit celebrating 101 years has been installed and will be on display in Town Hall through late May. The Tiny Art Show exhibit, which is currently in Town Hall, will also remain on display through the end of May. Our spring cultural event with Notes on the Beach was held on Tuesday, April 14th. It was an excellent program, thoroughly enjoyed by all in attendance, and was a standing room only event. We received many, many positive comments about it. I hope some of you got to see it. Planning is underway for a fall event at the Dinker Urban Museum to commemorate the 125th anniversary of Bethany Beach. Most likely, we will have that toward the end of September or the beginning of October. And I'd just like to say, it's going to be pretty cool. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be great. The exhibit we have been working on, which seems I say that all the time I'm up here, also celebrating the 125th anniversary, is just about complete. It will be installed by late May. It will remain on display in Town Hall through December 2026, and that is really a spectacular display. And last but not least, we're looking at several options for our fall cultural evenings. Those fall cultural evenings are held in October and November. That's our April report.
Lots going on. Thank you. Town manager report.
Mayor, council, I'd like to thank the mayor for the words earlier about hiring, but I will have to say that hiring falls entirely to my managers who do an incredible job of it, and they do such a great job, I'm not really involved in seasonal hiring.
Well, I thought to start mentioning, but there's quite a list.
But it's quite an accomplishment to bring that many people on in a very short period of time, train them, and get everybody pulling on the oars in the same direction for the entire summer season. And kudos to all the departments that do that and do such a great job, and those managers. But thank you for the compliment.
You know, it's nice to see that there's a lot of repeats that come back. So that tells you they enjoyed what they were doing. They were a good part of the town, and they wanted to continue doing it. So.
It's like our full-time employees, yes.
Yep.
The town has used a emergency alert system with messages delivered by phone for the last 2 decades. I think we were probably the first community in lower Delaware, on the Delmarva coast even, to do emergency notifications by phone. We have used the company Code Red for a number of years, and recently they've changed platforms or maybe even ownership, and their platform has become less than user-friendly for us to use to send messages out. And then this year we found we had the situation where previously, when you received a phone call from Code Red, it indicated that it was the town of Bethany Beach. And we found here in this last year with our winter storms that people were getting phone calls from Wisconsin and Seattle. And we all know what we do with those on our cell phone when we get them. So I think some people weren't even picking them up or just turning them off and maybe going to the messages later. So because of that, and again, because of issues with how friendly the system is to input, we took a look at changing vendors. And recently, our chief and deputy chief attended a hurricane conference in Orlando, and there's information on that in your packet, and came back with a different vendor that has a nationwide customer base that's very well thought of with their customer base, significantly more user-friendly, a lot of different features, and we'll be changing to that vendor. The company is called Regroup, and we'll be doing that in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Amazingly, in today's world, Code Red had a retail price of $12,000 a year, cut down for a return customer for us to $10,000, and Regroup's yearly rate is $3,000. So that's almost unheard of. So, but we'll be going to Regroup, and I think we'll have some really positive use of the different things that they do offer within their system. The state of Delaware mandates that municipal government maintain records. Depending on the record, the state sets a period of time, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years. Some things have to be kept in perpetuity. It's a terrible word for me. But we have not taken a really good look in a very, very long time about what we have retained. So a group effort, collaborative effort on the part of our town clerk, Raylene, our former town clerk from a number of years ago, Elisa Kale, came back, and the fellow that did all the heavy lifting, Brian Founsnith, and a whole week of work. That staff went through over 300 boxes of stored records
and at the end of the day, winnowed that down to 70 boxes of records that needed to be maintained. And because we paid to have it done, we have an exact count. We shredded 2.6 tons of paper at the end of the exercise. So it needed to be done, was past due. We found some real treasures that we might be able to talk to Carol Califf about. But we'll talk about that in the near future. But again, good job there. A number of months ago, the town entered into an agreement with RK&K, the engineering firm that has done the design work here for our ramps and for Route 1 and 26, to come back and give us what I'll call a safe streets concepts for North Atlantic and South Pennsylvania Avenue, part of our ongoing efforts to take pedestrian safety and make it one of our priorities here in Bethany Beach. Their contract was to give us some basic concepts, and that those concepts would be vetted with the town council and eventually publicly before we would move ahead with any sort of commitment to get final design documents. When they came back, we had a recent meeting, a Zoom meeting with staff and their staff members, and they presented a number of different options that are more or less similar takeoffs to what we did on South Atlantic Avenue with pathways and buffers and that sort of thing. But what became readily apparent is that an overlay of simple concepts on a street does not take into account the number of trees on South Pennsylvania, the dynamics of street width and driveways on North Atlantic. And so it became obvious in our discussion that we're going to need, required in order to make this a worthwhile project, is existing condition surveys for both of those streets and then work on overlays. Because with their concepts, they were just laying straight lines down, say, South Pennsylvania, when in fact, when we talk to them, they know we want a meandering path that will not make us deforest the entire street. And the same thing with North Atlantic, with the width of the street, especially at the north end. So we've commissioned surveys from them. They'll be getting back to us with the cost of those surveys and then getting them done as soon as they can, taking their concepts and presenting them to us with real-time views as opposed to just a straight line overlay, which wasn't going to really help us reach any kind of conclusion what to do. One of the benefits of that conversation was that their grant gurus are going to talk to our grant guru, and hopefully something positive will come of that, because according to RK&K, there are opportunities out there. I think one of them has a 4 or 5 day deadline, so I don't think Terry's sleeping or anything. So, but that's a positive thing for us. There's an acronym, WEBCOOS, which I just learned here in the last week or so, and it stands for Webcam Coastal Observation System. And it's part of another acronym called IOOS, which is the Integrated Ocean Observing System, and IOOS is part of MARCOOS, which is, is part of MARCOOS, which is the Mid-Atlantic Coastal Observation System. I had mentioned, I think, in our last meeting that we were going to try to participate with the University of Delaware in their new program where they are monitoring oceans and the impact of oceans on the width of beach and the movement of sand as a way to get a better handle on beach replenishment, beach nourishment, and issues with beaches in Delaware. In our conversations with the University of Delaware, they mentioned these different groups, and these groups are all funded by NOAA, and we are now making application to participate in the MARCOOS group to be part of the Mid-Atlantic system. It should not involve any extra expenditures on our part. What these systems do, and one of the things that they do with their webcams is monitor beach erosion, they monitor riptides, they actually monitor beach usage and have computers and AIs, systems that are capable of taking snapshots, pictures, and giving you counts of people on your beach. And then they also do flood monitoring. So we're working to become part of that system, and it's something I hope we'll be able to accomplish before the summer season. I had mentioned that Chief Foley and Deputy Chief Norman had just attended a hurricane conference in Orlando, and when they made their selection and it was a request of my office to ask them to try to attend one of those, and in the past I had found them beneficial, and there's a lot of networking and a lot of good offering there that you can bring back to help, especially in their roles here in the town for major storms. They both attended. I think they took a lot away from it. I think they did a lot of great networking, and they have a summary of the different classes and seminars they attended that's attached to this report. Regarding the different projects you mentioned, Mayor, one of the things that people ask us about continually is completion times, and our tentative completion times today, starting with 1 and 26, is before the end of the month. There is a good bit of work still to be done with the project, and one of the things that's a part of the project that we don't think about when we look at the northern crosswalk is the fact that the southwestern crosswalk is going to be deconstructed and reconstructed to comply with new standards and also to make it possible to cross from north to south west of Route 1. So one of the things that will happen very late in what they're doing will be a redesign and reconstruction of this southwest corner. They anticipate, and they're doing everything they can to be done by the end of this month, because if they push into May, DelDOT will force them to work evenings, which will have quite an impact on the project. So they're doing what they can to make sure that's not the case for what they're doing. The other, that's ADEL is working on that. A contractor by the name of Byers is working on 26 in Kent. They're fairly well along. They should be done and complete with that by midweek, and then they'll move right down to Treetop Lane for the pedestrian island, and then from Treetop Lane, they'll go to the island that is west of Fountain Boulevard. They anticipate, because there's no actual structural work that needs to be done on the north and south curbing at those locations, that they should be done again by the beginning of May. They may have to push Fountain into May, but again, that should be just a few days. They have very good crews that are working very, very quickly on their projects here. The ramps at 1st and 2nd Street, for I guess maybe the last week and a half, 2 weeks easily, there has not been much progress there because they are waiting on materials. Some of the materials are covered in the requisition that you have here, the supplemental requisition here that'll be on the agenda. That hasn't kept them from working. The product was ordered, but the product has not been delivered, along with other product that I think it's been delivered today. So crews will be back on that job on Monday. They are doubling the number of people working on this so they can be done with that by May 15th. And another project that hasn't picked up that much attention is the entire redo of the showers and restrooms in the guardhouse, which is well underway and should be completed by the end of next week. So those are completion dates, Mayor.
Wow, that's great. Lots going on. But we'll be ready for the summer season.
Hopefully, yes. Well,
Okay. Does anybody have any questions, council?
I have one question. The new alert system, will we have to sign up again?
no, they can transfer
They
data.
can transfer it over? Okay.
But we'll make a point of, in our newsletters, trying to sign up additional people, but they can transfer data.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Janie Switzer, 318 Wellington. Cliff, with these new crosswalks right in this area, will there be a re-coordination of the stoplights here and at Kent to make sure there's a flow?
I don't know. I don't know if we have told the Bell for DelDOT to do that, if this construction makes a change from their perspective. But I'm sure we'll know fairly quickly if there's an issue and request that of them. So.
Okay, and I have another question. The trolleys this summer, are they still going to be expected to be on the main roads like Kent and 26 versus taking shortcuts through some of the westbound streets like they like to do?
Not the trolleys,
No,
the out-of-town.
Excuse me, right,
Yes.
not the trolleys, excuse me, that's a good word. Shuttle.
The shuttles.
The shuttles, will they be expected to go on the main roads versus cutting through these side streets?
We try to ask them to do that, but we have a little bit of limitation on our public roadways of where we can direct them. I don't know if we take it to the point in time where we make it a condition of being able to issue them a permit, or if we even can do that legally. But I'll go back over that with parking to see where they are with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Janie. Anybody else have any comments, questions? Okay, before we go into business, I'd just like to state that there will be an opportunity for public addressing of questions on agenda items after initial council discussion and before council votes. And I'll make sure that happens. And if I don't, somebody raise their hands, please. Okay, old business.
Rich, you want me to read what's in here?
Yeah, and I don't know whether you might want to read the synopsis too.
Okay. Do it without my glasses. I'll attempt to. Discussion and consideration of an ordinance to amend Chapter 227, Article 1, Section 227-3, which is persons entitled to obtain seasonal parking permits. And the synopsis, if I can hold this far away from me, I can do it. The amendment gives the town manager authority to designate parking permits with no fee for special circumstances. As the mayor said, this is the second reading of this ordinance. The way this came up is when we were reviewing necessary changes to the ordinances to reflect the changes in parking rules, we noticed that there was no specific language in any of the ordinances relating to the grants of these special permits for no fees, which the town has been doing for years, but there wasn't any specific reference in the ordinances to allow it to be done through the coordination by the town manager. So we thought it made sense just to add the language to reflect, to bring the rules in conformity with what we're already doing. So it's a simple change in just one section of the ordinance relating to parking permits to reflect what we're already doing. This came up last month. There were no changes brought up in relation to it when it did come up, so it should be ready to go in final now.
Cool. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. Okay, discussion. Any further discussion, council? Questions?
I would note that the types of permits we're talking about are parking permits for the cottage tour, parking permits for the people that work on the farmers market, parking permits that we issue during an election for campaign workers, and those sorts of permits. We haven't had the real authority to issue them in the past. So.
Okay. Any questions, discussions from the public? I know I deal with the ones you mentioned for the farmers market, and I didn't know that we needed regulations or whatever, but that works out fine. They give us just, enough for our volunteers and vendors that we put them out on the streets, but it's only for a limited time, and it states that right on the pass. So by noontime, they're gone. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. New business, Mr. McHugh, you again.
I think it's me.
It's Bob.
No, this isn't me.
It's his twin, Mr. Rush.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council,
Sorry.
I panicked for a minute.
you didn't look at it all.
Just keeping you on your toes. Just keeping you on your toes.
Council, you will have seen in your briefing materials a recommendation from the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's a recommendation for amending Chapter 500 of the Town Code to include provisions regulating dewatering and construction of swimming pools. I'm going to go through the background just for the sake of clarity, and then we'll get into a discussion if need be. Chapter 500 of the Town Code, entitled Swimming Pools and Spas, primarily addresses post-construction issues such as fencing and filtration systems. Section 500-2 adopts the standard swimming pool code. It's a 1999 edition as the regulations regarding construction. Because of the high water table in town, dewatering is sometimes required in connection with construction of in-ground swimming pools. While the town's building inspector works with those in need of dewatering prior to construction, there is nothing in Chapter 500 that specifically addresses dewatering. Since dewatering must be done to prevent erosion as well as prevent erosion on public and private property, as well as preventing releasing contaminants into surrounding waterways, the building inspector recommends adding provisions to Chapter 500 to address these and other issues. In addition, because dewatering affects surrounding properties, the council may wish to prohibit it during summer months, as is done with pile driving, as well as requiring advance notice to Public Works. So the action here is the commission is requesting that council approves that the Planning and Zoning Committee proceeds with further research and drafting of amendment or amendments to the Chapter 500 of the Town Code that would incorporate the above as well as best practices. So pause there before any discussion or.
Okay. Do we have a motion to,
I'll make the motion.
okay,
Yeah,
second?
motion.
Second.
Discussion? Anybody from council?
So, but you're just asking permission to study this, or what?
Permission, yeah, permission for us to go back to develop the recommended code changes to bring back to council.
Okay.
So you would bring a draft
You're
ordinance.
good, you're just trying to come up with a draft? Is that- yeah,
This is part of a policy we adopted regarding white papers some time ago.
okay.
So this is just part of that process.
Because I think this is something, and I know that this will be going over this when you're studying it, to put it together to present. But depending on where this is in town, it may be required, but maybe other areas in town where it's not required.
We can look at that, I think,
Yeah.
for sure.
And just thinking of it, there are some areas in town which are, believe it or not, are higher. So,
Relatively higher.
relatively higher, right.
And Jerry, I think in the past, that things were developed by plan, that came up that the town needed to be aware of, thus the process that,
So
Cliff is
Susan would
referencing.
have the final say whether it needs to be dewatered or not? I mean, is
well, we
that-
put, to be drafted, but we would have to determine,
It's unknown, to be
it's
determined.
unknown, it's determined, okay.
yeah. Because right now, there's nothing specific in there, and you'll have dewatering occurring at any time and creating erosion and all that good stuff.
So in effect, we're going to come up, your white paper is going to come up, or your process is going to come up with sort of best practices to
Correct.
have going forward.
Correct.
And
That's great.
give the, it's the code enforcement office something they can enforce.
Right.
Because right now,
Specific to pools, there is none.
right, because right now, it sounds like it's just goodwill.
Correct.
If somebody says they're not going to do it, then there's nothing that Susan has to make them do
No
it.
teeth.
There's
No
no
teeth.
teeth.
Good. Okay. Anybody in the audience have anything to say? Okay, thank you. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next one, discussion, consideration, possible vote on the town's investment policy. Mrs. Keel.
The town's investment policy states that it should be reviewed on an annual basis. This review happens at the beginning of the new budget year, which is April. Everyone received a copy of the investment policy in their packets. No one has reached out with any changes. The finance department doesn't have any changes. So I move to approve the town's investment policy for budget year 2027.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Can I ask why we're reviewing a policy we're not changing every year? Why don't we just leave it and only review it when we feel a need to change it?
The policy says it has to be reviewed.
yes.
So we,
I see that in here,
No,
but why are we doing that, I guess is my question.
so it's, I asked the same question. So it's something that the Budget and Finance Committee can look at in one of our next meetings to see if we change it to review as needed or have somebody look at it every like 3 to 5 years. Because the last time, there have been like 5 changes to this document since it was created, and 3 or 4 of them are minor word changes. So I'm not sure an annual review is really necessary, but as it's currently written, we have to do it.
Because it gives the investment officer a lot of flexibility with which to act, how to act within it. So why, it seems like we don't need.
Well, that might be one of the reasons you want to review it, because she has that flexibility.
flexibility.
And then I also,
Maybe, okay.
and I also think that in terms of, certainly, a static world isn't the investment world, and things can radically change in terms of where to invest and what you want. So I think the thought was that review would be necessary, given the latitude she has also.
Both the review of the returns and the review of the policy?
Yes.
Okay.
Recognize that the town is obligated not to lose money, so we have to be very prudent about how we invest. So I think that's part of it. As investment things change, there might be other opportunities for us to invest in that don't exist today.
Okay, I just was.
One of the changes that was made years ago is actually removing an option that is used by the state of Delaware because the committee at that point in time deemed those investments to be too risky.
Well, I mean, I see, and I commend the town, I think we're doing the right thing, our investment policy is very conservative.
It's very conservative.
Pretty much all CDs.
Yep.
Pretty much across the board. When you're talking to and you're listening to what other communities are doing, I know there are other communities that don't do that. And they may get, in good times, they may get better returns, but they may not.
Right.
And we're dealing with public funds, so that's, I think my personal feeling is we're doing the right thing.
And some of those towns are using financial advisors, which costs them money.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So our finance department controls all of this. It doesn't cost us anything extra. So we're fortunate in that way.
Yep. Very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it, just from the review process of staying on top of it, makes a lot of sense, because to your point, there are a lot of towns that are looking to try to close some gaps, right, in funding with this. And like you say, it has upsides and downsides, and I think us going through a regular routine process of just locking in where we are. I mean, it's very conservative, right, and
In the
that's
last
fine.
few years, it's been very good. We've been
Right.
hitting 4 or 5%
Yeah.
pretty regularly. I mean, there are times, you remember back, 4 years ago or so, when interest rates were extremely low.
Right.
But again, it's a conservative approach, and we've never lost money. We've always
Right.
gained money. It's a matter of how much you gain.
Right.
And I just want to clarify, I wasn't talking about reviewing the results every year. We're talking about the policy.
The policy every year, yes.
I don't know. That's.
It's a good fiscal practice annually, given the magnitude of what we invest.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any comments from the audience? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda, discussion, consideration, and possible vote on a Mumford and Miller change order in the amount of $55,520. Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, when the engineer gave us their initial design and initial cost estimate to repair the ramps, what they did not do was deconstruct the ramps to get a good idea of what was in the ground for support structures. I'm not here if it's for me. Last month, we talked about the fact that the pilings that had been driven, many of them had rotted to the point in time they needed to be replaced, and that there was a cost-effective way to do that, and that involved essentially using the hole that the piling had been in, cleaning it out, putting some support in there, and using a two-part epoxy to generate the necessary support for the structure on the ramps. Another thing that we weren't aware of that subsequently Public Works requested and the contractor agreed with was I put a photo in the things I gave you today along with my report. You'll see some of the cross beams, and you'll see a 4x4 in the ground. And when these ramps were constructed, whoever constructed them decided that they were going to use some sort of a de facto piling to help support the rest of the structure, and they were using 4x4s. And if you look at those cross beams are massive, and the 4x4s in no way, shape, or form could really support them well. In addition to that, many of these 4x4s are only in the ground 15 or 16 inches. You can actually manipulate them back and forth even after you pack them in. So Public Works, along with the contractor, with the engineers' concurrence, wanted to increase those to 6x6s. And so that is a significant additional cost. If you look at the change order, $19,000 of that change order is the epoxy repair to the pilings, and $29,000 is the replacement of the 4x4s with 6x6s, significant 4x4s in the ground a good number of feet to help support the ramps. So that's what the change order is about. And again, things that, because they didn't deconstruct them, they couldn't estimate accurately at the time they gave us the proposal. So you have a purchase order from Public Works for $55,520 to cover that change and supplement to this contract. If you would like to motion that forward.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Any questions? Yeah, you clarified it there. I mean, most of it's in the wood.
Yes.
And, because I was looking at it initially thinking, it can't cost that much money for the epoxy and those tops, and it certainly doesn't. Most of it's in the wood, so. Any questions from the audience? Those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Well, I have to do a Cliff, this is the beginning of several of these ramps.
Yes.
Have they looked at any of the other ramps to see if we're in the same?
Oh, I think we'll do more deconstruction here as we go forward
we
in
go
terms of
forward,
estimates and what's needed, yes.
Okay. Next item, discussion, consideration, possible vote regarding the purchase of a Vermeer vacuum excavator from the Vermeer All Roads in the amount of $65,000. Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, Council, this is a wish from the Water Department and Public Works that they tell me they brought to me 10 or 15 years ago that I just flatly refused. They are back asking again, and one of the reasons is that these machines were more accessible with one of the local rental companies than they are today, and they've been forced, when they need to use one, to bring in a private contractor that has this type of machine. I sent the council a 23-minute video, which I'm sure you all watched all 23 minutes, of how these things work. And they are, especially from the Water Department's perspective, a real godsend in that they can excavate a hole, they can do it using water pressure, they can vacuum the substance out that as it falls into the hole, they can vacuum the water out of the hole, and they can do that without destroying utility cables, utility lines, or other water lines. And it can be used very precisely. I've seen it used in another video repairing irrigation systems where it's used right around the head of the irrigation unit and does not damage anything. So Public Works can use it even if they just have a leak that they need to pull the water out of, or especially with some of the leaks they actually do in the street where they have a lot of other conduits in the ground. Public Works can use it for holes, for poles, again, without having to worry about a utility locate, especially in areas that might be problematic with Comcast or Mediacom. So I think it's a good purchase, something that's needed for them, and certainly will make their job easier and create fewer problems, because it's not unusual in some of these excavations to take out a utility wire or another water line or water pipe.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion, council, any thoughts, questions?
So Cliff, will this eliminate the actual need to have the guy come in and check all the piping and so forth? Or it's
I think
just-
when they have the luxury of doing utility locate, they'll do that, I think.
Yeah.
But when they're out on a call for a leak, this will alleviate some of the
Leak stuff,
concern.
which is, it's
Yeah.
a savior. We're not here.
Are you here?
Still not, no.
People just don't understand it's a town council meeting. They keep calling. Thank you.
Sir.
I have a question, just, I assume it's the entire, it comes on a trailer?
Yes.
The whole thing is
Yes.
involved? Yeah. I mean, it is from the YouTube, it's an incredible piece of machinery.
It's a substantial size to it.
Yeah.
And it's equipped with water tanks of a size where it can run a whole shift, an 8-hour shift continually before the tank's emptied. So it's well designed for its purpose. So.
Okay.
Why did you turn it down last time? Why did you turn it down last time?
Because they could get one, I believe, out here at the rental
Oh, they
company.
read it, okay.
Okay. Any comments, questions from the audience? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion, consideration, and possible vote on the revised parking maps for inclusion in the town code. Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, council, over the last 2 or 3 meetings, we have made some changes in parking. The town code requires that specific issues with parking be illustrated in a map that's maintained as part of the code. In your workup, you have a new map which will fulfill our code obligation to create a map A and B. For purposes of this, the map's combined. Map A is parking east of Route 1, map B is parking west of Route 1, and the specific areas that are outlined to be covered by this map per the code are the ones that are illustrated here. Since this is not an ordinance change, it doesn't require the 2 readings. This is just affirming that this is the official map that will be included in the town code.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Discussion?
I have a question. Do we, the handicap rule that we used last month, does that have to be reflected in here, the fact that on the beach lots, folks that have handicap?
No.
It doesn't have to
No,
be in here?
no.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else from council? Audience, anybody comments?
Cliff,
Okay.
with our parking meter people, does anybody ever proceed west of Route 1 to look at some of the areas where people could be parking in the communities?
Randomly, some people park in the 300 block, but it's almost non-existent.
Okay.
Yep. Living in the 300 block, the only time, we rarely have parkers that come over there, but there are some at times.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, and what we've run into is they park right, almost in the middle of the road and block the street, so.
Well, I would think people who live in Bethany West and so forth would have a problem with people parking on their street and using a trolley. And I'm just wondering if there's any way we can assist that.
The only complaints we've ever had were from the community of Lake Bethany, with people coming right over the bridge and parking around the tennis courts.
From an ex-councilman by any chance?
I would like to go on record and say I was the only board of directors member that was against that request.
Have you spoken to the former mayor about her missing VIP parking pass? Okay. If anybody is interested in buying a VIP pass, please talk to Rosemary Hardman. No, I told everyone if they would like to buy a VIP pass to see you. Sure.
We'll trade 2 shovels.
She
That
needs
doesn't
enough
sound
money
like a
for
fair
2
trade.
garage doors.
Okay. Any further discussion, questions? And please go to the microphone this time. Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion, consideration, possible vote on the 2026 concession for Sarge Athletics. Gravier.
This company came to us wanting to do their beach ruck walk after our normal date for accepting concessions, but we don't have anything that's that carved in stone to say that we can't accept an application for a concession after our traditional application date. This doesn't conflict with any of the other exercise groups on the beach and promises not to interfere with the guards, and will be done at the very back of the beach for this very limited period of time. So if you would like to approve it.
Okay, do we have a motion? Second? Okay, thank you. Discussion. My only concern is, I think they're meeting on the boardwalk, but they're not going to be operating on the boardwalk.
Yes.
That's right.
So they'll gather on the boardwalk, and they'll get on the beach, move down the beach at a certain rate of speed, stop, do an exercise, move down the beach, do an exercise, move down the beach, do an exercise.
Okay, I just want to make sure they're not on the boardwalk, because that could be, on a Saturday morning,
Yeah.
20 people running up and down the boardwalk and doing exercises could be very disruptive. So, okay.
Can I ask,
Any-
are we imposing the same insurance requirements on these?
Yes,
guys?
they have-
Okay,
they
so
have to
it could
present
be something
insurance,
that-
yes.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion? Audience? Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That concludes the meeting today. I thank those for coming and those listening online, enjoying the spring, and we all look forward for a great summer coming up. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.